Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Burns.
Yeah, Nancy Burns here.
And we're from Future Theater. And you know what we like to listen to?
Bang.
Radio on Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
At 9 p.m.?
What
Eastern.
network?
Oh, the best network on the whole entire internet. Inception Radio Network.
We're live from the Iron North Studios up near Lake Superior, northern Wisconsin. I'm with my co-host Ken Storch. Tonight we have on Larry Holcombe talking about UFOs and presidents. So it's going to be a good show tonight. And I'm going to kick it over to Ken to do his shout-outs. Welcome, Ken. How's your weekend going?
Hey, it was pretty intense around here last night. We had, I actually watched a funnel cloud. There were sirens going off. They were telling everybody in Salina, Oklahoma to take cover. I watched the funnel probably within a mile and a half of my house as it was coming down. It did not touch ground, but it tore up some trees. I spent most of the day, chainsawing trees that got knocked over at my place. But Inola, Oklahoma, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma got whacked pretty hard. A lot of damage. No deaths, no injuries as far as I know, but it was a hell of a light show. I mean, you could read a book by the lightning that was going on last night.
Wow.
Pretty intense.
Wow. How close were you to the tornadoes about a week and a half ago there?
Those were several, I mean, when I say several miles, they were probably 15, 20 miles away. And not, we got a little bit of wind and a little bit of rain, but last night we got 2¼ inches of rain in about 3 hours, just to give you an idea how intense it was. And we had 75-mile-an-hour winds at my house. When I woke up this morning, I spent the better part of the morning chainsawing limbs and trees so I could get out of my driveway.
Wow, wow.
But no damage. One of my campers had a tree come down on their camper, and it crushed it pretty bad. But nobody was hurt, thank God.
Yep, that's all matters.
And everybody's okay. But it was pretty intense. And I don't mean to make light of it, but it was one hell of a light show. I watched it on. I went out on the back deck of my house, and I saw the funnel cloud as it was coming across the lake, and sirens going off. The cell phone, they were telling everybody in Salina, Oklahoma, which is 3½ miles to the north of me, to take immediate protection, go into your shelter, because they had a tornado on the I actually saw it, but it was interesting, MJ. It did not touch down. It hovered above the ground about 100 feet off the ground as it went across the lake. It was an awesome sight, but thank God no serious injuries, and a little bit of damage, but nothing that cannot be fixed.
Very, very cool. Ken, you got some shout outs there?
I do. I want to shout out to Doug and Christy, George and Patty, Lorna up there in Lepig. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Jessup in England, Rosie Jessup, I know she's listening, and she's staying up late. Rosie, I love you dearly, girl. Thank you very much. And I got some folks down in Louisiana that are tuning in, and all those people in Northeast Oklahoma. Thank you very much.
There you go. And I got shout outs from, I got a few this week and last week. I got one to Kat down in Houston, Texas, longtime IRN listener. We got Dean Reggett from the south coast of England, always listening. We got Yo Gino from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And then our friend Ryan in New York City listening. So that's my shout outs, and especially to Deborah Anderson over in Duluth, Minnesota. Thank you for listening. Now, Ken, I'm going to throw it back to you. As you know, Ken does independently investigate cases of paranormal unknown. But if you remember, we were talking about that little pyramid in the Iraqi desert. Ken has a small update he can give you, small tidbit. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I want to update our listeners. I told MJ before we come on the air I was running a little bit late because I was interviewing two gentlemen that are now Iraqi war veterans. I was reviewing their DD-214, and I know they're listening, and I told them I would not mention their names just yet. But they are who they say they are. They were showing me pictures. They were part of U.S. Army Special Forces. They know of Ryan. They were not, and I repeat, not part of his detail that when they went in another direction into the Kuwaiti desert. But they heard all, MJ, they were, it really gave me goose pimples because they were talking about, they heard the rumors. There was all kinds of chatter on the radio in regards to whatever was happening with Ryan and his platoon that went into the Kuwaiti desert in the first Gulf War, and that's what we're talking about. And our listeners, if you want to catch up to what we're talking about, I urge you to go and download the show that we talked about with Ryan, not with Ryan, but about Ryan and what was going on in the Kuwaiti desert concerning a supposedly, allegedly, a part of a pyramid that was sticking out of the desert. Now, what's interesting about these two gentlemen that I was interviewing today, and I just met them today. It was a happen chance type of meeting, and we got to talking, and they brought out their DD-214s, and they were showing me pictures of their deployment in the Kuwaiti desert, and they are who they say they are. And I know the two boys are listening, and I want to give them a special salute for their service, and I want to give them a special salute and thank them for serving our country. And regardless of what you thought of the first Iraq War, Desert Storm or whatever, right, wrong, or indifferent, these two boys went unequivocally, without question, in the service of our country, and I thank them for that. But what's interesting is that they are supporting what Ryan was saying about a special mission, and they too were deployed ahead of the U.S. Army to set up fuel depots. What they told me, there was like 50 or 60 deployments that went out ahead of Desert Storm to set up fueling stations in the desert for the armored vehicles when they crossed over in Desert Storm under General Schwarzkopf. And what's interesting is that they verified that communication was lost with several units in the desert, and they did not have a rational explanation, because we're talking satellite GPS stuff. This is all high-tech stuff. Satellite communication, sat-nav is what they refer to it as. And there were several units that they completely lost, not just Ryan's, but several other units that were affected by whatever was going on in the Kuwaiti desert. And so, once again, it is not, and I'm telling our listeners, it's not 110% smoking gun, but it adds credence to what Ryan was saying about what happened to him in his unit in the desert. And you need to go back and listen to that program to understand what we're talking about.
There you go. That's coming from Ken, and Ken will keep us all updated on the progress of that investigation.
Yeah, and I told our listeners I would do that. As new information comes in and I'm able to verify it, I will keep our listeners updated. And I've got some more information coming, so that's where we're at right now.
Perfect. Remember, you can all listen to IRN on our apps on Android and iPhones. Check us out on the Stitcher, TuneIn, Roku, and Live 365 apps. Be sure you can also listen to us on your call-in listen lines, 401-283-6700. Press 1 for IRN and press 2, for IRN Plus to listen to our conference feed. Tonight, our guest, Larry Holcombe, is into world of ufology, came in the late 1950s after reading 2 of Major Donald Keyhoe's books, Flying Saucers Are Real and Flying Saucers from Outer Space. A year later, after watching Keyhoe debate an Air Force officer on an Armstrong Circle Theater, and seeing Keyhoe being censored when he was deviated from the prepared script the Air Force forced on the show's producers, Larry was convinced that Air Force was covering up knowledge of flying saucers and later to be changed to UFOs. These events started a 50-year avocation into the study of research of the UFO phenomenon. And Larry has a newer book out called The Presidents and UFOs, The Secret History from FDR to Obama. So we can dig deep into some presidential stuff tonight, Ken, and talk to Larry here, who I'm bringing in at the moment here. So we'll hear the ringtone. Larry is talking to us via a cell phone or home phone. So we're going to be pulling in Larry right now. Hey, Larry, this is MJ and Ken Storch from Paying Radio. Welcome to the show.
MJ, delighted to be here. I was just listening to Ken, and it made me a little nervous, being that my wife and I will be driving through Oklahoma on the way to Roswell in about a month and a half, probably staying in Oklahoma City overnight, and I really don't want to get involved in those storms that he's been talking about.
Hey, Larry, you should have been here last night, buddy. It was a wild and woolly storm. You, in my house, you could have sat, and I'm not exaggerating, you could have read the Rocky Mountain News or the Tulsa World, and this was 1 o'clock in the morning when the storm hit, and it literally lit up the entire side of our house for about 45 minutes. It was one hell of a storm.
That's amazing. You, of course, I guess you're sort of situated in Tornado Alley.
Oh, hey, if you look up Tornado Alley and you look at the bullseye, I'm in the 10 ring, okay? All right, but you know what? I guess I'm kind of weird in that respect, but I get turned on by it. I was absolutely, it was a jaw-dropping, Lorna, you heard that, jaw-dropping experience. I just sat out on the back porch and watched this storm roll in at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was awesome, and I don't know how to explain it, but it was Mother Nature flexing her muscle. Okay, that's all I can say. And hey, a month from now, you won't have to worry about it, man. You'll be able to go through, and there won't even be a slight breeze.
Well, we always make a stop over in Oklahoma City, and I always love it out there because you know it's living in the East. When you get out there, when you get into that part of Oklahoma, you're really going from the east to the west. And
oh my gosh, and good people.
Yeah, the topography changes, everything changes, and you go from beautiful, fertile farmlands when you get into New Mexico up into the high desert. It's just, I love it. I love it. I love the West.
Yeah, it really is. You can literally see the transition as you drive west towards New Mexico through Oklahoma and get into the Panhandle. You can literally see where they call it the green country, and you start getting into the high mountain desert. It literally, it's almost like there's a line drawn across the map. You go from one to the other.
Well, we always enjoy. We've been coming out to. Have been invited out to Roswell to the by the UFO Museum in Roswell since 2011, and I just love going out there. Plus, we have children back in San Antonio area of Texas, so we make a loop. That's why I drive. We make a loop around and go and spend some time with them.
Well, and I would certainly recommend anybody that is going to visit that part of the country don't fly, drive.
Yeah. Well, I spent a lot of time in airplanes before I retired, working as a military sales manager, flying all over the Western Hemisphere, I think, and I've had my fill of flying, especially now. Flying's no fun anymore.
There you go. Now, Larry, this is MJ. What got you interested in the field of ufology? Tell our listeners.
Well, Donald Kehoe, junior in high school, reading, finding two of Donald Kehoe's books, Flying Saucers from Outer Space and Flying Saucers Are Real. That stoked my interest in the flying saucer subject. He was quite believable. I read some of the other books by people that were less than like George Adamski, who I really thought was a little bit of a kook, although he's gained some traction in later years. But Kehoe fascinated me with his believability, his passion, his contacts with the Pentagon, the fact that he came into the subject as a skeptic, was convinced by True Magazine editor Ken W. Purdy to investigate flying saucers, as they were called then. And so his books really, I guess, turned me on to the subject. I watched him on the Armstrong Circle Theater when he was to debate the Air Force. Thought that he would turn the world up on its ear, and there'd be banner headlines all around the world the next day. And then I watched him sit meekly by while the Air Force went on with their usual dribble about all flying saucers being prosaic. And then found out the next day that when Kehoe tried to get a few words in, his microphone was cut off because he deviated from the script that the Air Force brought in. So I knew immediately that there was a cover-up. The Kehoe was right, that the Air Force was covering up. It was censoring what was being said. So for the next, I guess until the 90s, I followed the subject sort of as a avocation, and did it quietly because the government had been, I think, very successful after the Robertson panel of 1973 of debunking the subject to the population in general, so that people that believed or gave credibility to flying saucers or later UFOs were looked on as nuts. So I sort of kept it to myself. But then it gained traction in the later years, and when I took early retirement and wanted to write a novel, and ended up using the government cover-up of the ET issue as the basis for the plot to the novel, and that's sort of how things took off. The UFO Museum in Roswell saw my book. They read it and invited me out for the first time in 2011 as an author. And I had done some research, background research, to make the book as accurate as possible. Came across a documentary that I thought was absolutely unique in the field of ufology, which was called UFOs Past, Present, and Future, and which obviously had the support of the government, and there was no debunking of the UFO subject, and it really supported the extraterrestrial hypothesis, which I found astounding. I brought my feeling up about this documentary and how unique it was to some of the people that I met in Roswell for the first time that I highly respected. Stanton Friedman was one. Alejandro Rojas and Antonio Hunis was another. Antonio was instrumental in getting me in touch with the writer of the documentary, UFOs Past, Present, Future, and co-produced it with his partner Alan Sandler. He contacted me, started sending me a lot of data. We talked over the phone a number of times. I ended up going to his home, retirement home in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He had been a very successful advertising executive in Los Angeles, and found out the background story, which I won't go into here now at this time, but which is involved. But anyway, the idea for this book, The Presidents and UFOs, was born by talking to these well-known ufologists at Roswell, and so that's a very quick summation of a long story of how I got into this whole business.
It sounds like you've worked with a lot of different leading people. That's awesome.
Hey, Larry, and I'm a big fan of Major Kehoe. His book UFOs Are Real, I've read probably a half a dozen times. So let me ask you a question. Based upon your research and based upon what you found out, do you think flying saucers are real?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it. What they are and where they come from, I can't say for certain. Obviously, I have my opinions, but as far as being real, I don't think there's any question about it. We're dealing with a phenomenon that's absolutely real, and and I'm talking about true flying saucers, which I like to call them flying saucers.
Amen, Larry. Thank you very much. I don't like the term UFO. That's something the government gave us. Thank you so much for saying it. I thought I was the only voice out there. No offense, MJ.
Well, it's when you talk about UFOs, it's such a broad term that takes
Amen.
in, you hear even speakers and ufologists that I respect greatly.
Right.
They will talk in their lectures about, well, 95% of UFO sightings can be explained. It's the 5% that we're interested in.
Hey, I'm even more conservative than that, Larry. Give me 2%. All I need is 1, okay?
Well, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, what I say is take that 95%, that's chaff. Take it away, and the 5% or 2%, whatever is left, that becomes 100%
exactly
of real UFO or flying saucers, as I like to call them. And that's what we should be looking at, and just disregarding this chaff and, put it over there and say that's 100% of unidentified sightings by somebody that can be shown as being prosaic. It's this 5% or 3% or 2% or what have you.
Yeah, just give me 1 of 1%, okay? All I need is 1, and it's out there, and we've seen it.
That's exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more.
Larry, what do you think the most compelling evidence to date to say these UFOs are real? What do you think stands out?
The most compelling evidence, well, first of all, I'm a strong advocate of Roswell as being an an extraterrestrial event. But I think
really?
we've got others.
You think? Absolutely, 100%. I'm with you there on that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Game changer.
I think Japan Airlines flight. What's the flight number? I can't remember. The flight. Japan Airlines flight over Alaska.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's another.
I think Rendlesham Forest is another.
I think I don't go into that in the book. Nick Pope contributed to the book, but he covers that so well. And I really primarily, except for the Iranian event, most of the events that I've covered in my book are domestic events. The one event that I missed, and I hope that there'll be a reprinting of the book so that I can include it, is the RB-47 event over the Gulf of Mexico and the eastern United States. I don't know how I missed that and left that out of the book, but it should have been included because that's an extremely, extremely important.
Hey, well, Larry, now that you brought it up, can you tell our listeners briefly what RB-47, what that was all about?
RB-47 was a B-47 bomber that had been converted to a surveillance aircraft, primarily detecting radar on the ground. Now, it had very sophisticated electronic equipment in it, the most sophisticated electronic equipment available at the time. And it was on a training mission before being sent overseas. And the flight originated somewhere in Oklahoma. And I forget the air base in Oklahoma. And like
Tinker Air Force Base.
Tinker, right. It flew from Tinker into Texas. I think then it turned eastward over probably anyway, it turned eastward in Texas and went into the Gulf of Mexico, somewhere east of San Antonio, and flew over the Gulf of Mexico, then turned west and started back into the U.S. over somewhere around Mobile, I believe. And as it did so, it picked up one of the operators in the aircraft picked up an object that he thought he was picking up a radar signal from the ground. As it turned out, the object was moving. And he kept watching it, but he didn't say anything to the rest of the crew members. But he watched this object, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. I think the planes flew on somewhere toward Meridian, Mississippi, then turned west again and headed back toward Texas, when all of a sudden the pilot saw a light, a very brilliant light, that was stalking the plane. Well, they were started picking it up again. And the operators in the back of the plane with the electronic gear, I can't remember if the pilot asked them if they were picking up anything or they reported it to him, but the engineer, one of the engineers in the back of the plane, told the pilot, "I have seen this object on our scopes earlier. I didn't report it to you because I thought it was a ground radar until it appeared to be moving. But anyway, I disregarded it because it disappeared." So the pilot was seeing it. Then this object started playing cat and mouse with this RB-47 as it flew west on into Texas. The pilot contacted ground radar. Ground radar started picking it up. They saw it. So you had ground radar that was tracking it. You had the electronic equipment in the RB-47 that was tracking it, and you had visual confirmation from the pilot and co-pilot in the cockpit of seeing this thing. They tried to ask ground control to let them maneuver around. I think they actually did a 300 or a couple of 360-degree turns to get away from it or to get close to it. And the object just turned with them. And I'm not doing the story justice because I haven't studied it in depth. As I said, I didn't put it in the book. But this went on for, I think, an hour or more. The plane was finally running low on fuel, returned to Tinker, and somewhere en route back to Oklahoma, the object left the plane. But excuse me, go ahead.
No, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think this is important. But there was all kinds of physical data concerning this, and I'm talking about radar. There was radio conversations going on. I mean, everybody knew that this plane was being shadowed by something that was unexplained, right?
An uncorrelated target. Exactly right.
Right. I think that's important, okay, because, you know, so many times, and to use this word, skeptics, people that don't believe that we're being surveillance, whatever you want to call it, by another race of beings that has a technological advantage over us. But once again, we're talking about military radar, military planes that was involved in an operation that they had an uncorrelated target, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, guys.
And it's very similar to the Japan Airlines Alaska incident, where you had Anchorage approach radar tracking the object. You had Elmendorf Air Force Base tracking the object. You had visual from the flight crew.
And not only that, but you had visual from another plane. They didn't see the object, but they saw the light.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. And then you had John Callahan from the FAA, who was brought into the picture, examined all the tapes, all of the telemetry, and then after he retired, nobody knew that he had copies of all these tapes, so all this stuff went public. It's on the internet, all over the internet.
And you see, folks, it goes back to the three things that I talked about earlier. Okay, reasonable suspicion, and then you have probable cause, and then you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And I'm going to tell you something, Larry. I think in this case, we got all three, and I'm speaking from a cop's point of view.
There you go, guys. Well, we hit our first break. We went a little over, but I couldn't interrupt you, Larry. You were on a roll and doing great stuff.
Yeah, man. It was
I'm sorry. I tend to talk too much.
No.
Don't apologize.
No,
I love it. What are you talking about?
No worries. Thanks, everybody. You're listening to Paying Radio on the Inception Radio Network. Tonight we have on UFO researcher Larry Holcombe, and we will be right back.
Hey, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's EPICVOYAGERS.com.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Écoutez Pong Radio tous les dimanches à 21h Eastern, uniquement sur Inception Radio Network.
Listeners, this is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DreamNuage.com. Simple, raw, organic. Welcome back to Paying Radio. Tonight we have on UFO researcher Larry Holcombe. I got to do one shout out to our friends down in Rhinelander, Wisconsin listening, Jennifer and Kevin. Glad you're tuning in. They are the head of the Wisconsin Paranormal and Research Team, which I am a UFO consultant on. So very cool, very cool. So, Larry, why the cover-up by the military and the U.S. government? What do you think the reasons are?
Oh,
many reasons, right?
That's a big question. Technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bottom line is technology. There's all sorts of theories that religion would crumble, people would panic. I don't buy that. First of all, I think as far as religion goes, the Catholic Church has come out and said that if there are extraterrestrials, that they come under the same guidance of God that we do. As far as the people panicking, I think that we become sophisticated enough now that living under the threat of nuclear warfare for so many years, under mad, mutually assured destruction and what have you for so many years, I think we've become sophisticated enough that if disclosure came about in some manner, I don't think it's going to be from the government or the president of France or anywhere. I think it would be probably because of some event that happened that we couldn't control.
Sure.
But I think people would just, if disclosure did come about, they would shrug their shoulders and say, "Gee, that's really interesting," and get on with their lives.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Right. Russia's waking up these days, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of with the sleeping giants waking a little again. Go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry. Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
This, we were talking off during the break, and we were talking about what occurred during the early 70s, and specifically, that's how I got involved in. Okay, the bug bit me in October of 1973, and to ask you, that era between the early 70s, there was an awful lot of military contact with something that they weren't able to identify, that being ET, flying saucers. I don't like the term UFO like you. So do you think that the government knows a lot more, or do you think that they're just in the dark like we are and they're afraid to admit it? I've had that question posed, so I'm asking you.
I think they know a lot more. I think that there is a control group, and I'm in a minority of so-called ufologists on this particular subject, and that's Majestic 12 or MJ 12. I think that Truman did authorize a control group. Whether it was actually called Majestic 12 or MJ 12 or not, there seems to be some reason to believe that that was originally the name. But I think that there was a control group that Truman organized. I think that Truman wanted the control to be handled by the White House. Everything that they found, that this control group that he authorized found, was to come back to the White House and would be rest in the hands of the executive branch. I think in my book I have the hypothesis that that was taken away from the executive branch as time progressed, starting with the late in the Eisenhower administration, moving forward, so that today the presidents really are not in the loop of knowledge.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a control group.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Presidents come. I mean, in the early 50s and maybe into the early 60s, they being the government was still trying to get a handle on what they were dealing with. But now, as it's progressed, I don't think any of the presidents have a clue in regards to what we're dealing with on the ET level. And I once again, I agree with you 100% that if and I'm one of those that believe Roswell's the real deal. Okay, I think that's the hinge pinch of ufology. Disprove that, and ufology would pretty much collapse. But the problem is they can't, because it's the real deal. And I think Truman got it dumped in his lap because it was no accident, Larry, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 8 weeks after the Roswell incident, he signs into law the National Security Act, and I'm one of those that believes it was a direct result of what they recovered in the desert of New Mexico. I believe that.
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I don't disagree with you at all. And I think that Truman wanted the executive branch to control this, and it was highly classified as it remains today. But
Absolutely.
I think that it was as we had these secrets, we had these crashed craft, which is, I've had a lot of people say how these craft fly across the vastness of space and come here and crash. Well, that's another story we can get into. But having this debris or this technology and turning it over to the intelligence community and then to the military-industrial complex, great power was amassed. Money was put into it, and great power was amassed, and the control was taken away from the executive branch and into the hands of the intelligence community and to very high-ranking individuals in the military-industrial complex. And make no mistake, the military-industrial complex can keep better secrets than the intelligence community can.
I know. You know, Larry, I have to chuckle because people, and I'm talking about the percentage of people that are on the outside looking in when it comes to ufology, think that there's no way that the government could keep a secret like this. Hell, they got secrets concerning World War I that we don't know about, and they won't release information on.
You're exactly right. The secrets, the people that say the government...
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows, an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows, an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
To listen to the rest of this interview, please go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and register for the Insiders Club. What is the Insiders Club? The Insiders Club is our premium content, what you've just listened to. Now, what you've just listened to is a preview of that premium content. The Insiders Club is how we pay the bills. It's how you support IRN. You join forces with IRN to get the truth out there. Now, a lot of our content is free. I mean, most of our content is free. All of our live shows are free. If you go to our archives, the vast majority of our archives are for free. But to pay the bills, to help make sure this network stays alive, stays viable, we offer those who really love our radio station, our network, and our shows an ability to support our network and become a part of IRN. Actually join forces in helping us get the truth out there. Now, how do you do this again? You go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com and you subscribe for the Insiders Club, and you'll have access to all of our archives, including this show, the rest of the show. A faster way of getting there, go to the description below this video and click on the link. And like I said, you'll be joining forces with IRN. You'll have availability of all of our content, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.